Hello. Let's see. We will begin shortly. At 6 p.m. Pacific time. I look like I'm sleeping. Oh, hello, people. I'm sleepy. That's just probably just poor camera quality. Let's see. Pin message. Using my webcam. So hello, Kendra, and hello, Lionel, um, Daniel. Good to see y'all. Let's see. Yeah, I'm always on the fence about like, should I buy better camera equipment? But it's priorities. Also, let me know how the audio, if you can't hear me. That's please make sure to let me know. Or if I got background music is too loud or whatever. But personally, I like the lo-fi of. I'm weird. I'm a weird person. I enjoy technology. I guess it just goes back to nostalgia. Nostalgia is a hell of a drug, isn't it? Because I grew up on the VHS era, cassette, home cassette, video cassettes, and quality was not good. Analog TVs with the rabbit ear antennas. And when I see low quality videos, it just brings me back to those days. That's what happens when you do a YouTube channel. It's just for you only. It's like I just want to do what I want to do, which is why I've plateaued on my subscriber count, which is I don't really care about that. I just like I'm like one of those people that watches my own videos. Just it just makes me it sparks joy, quoting the Marie Kondo thing. um, but yeah, we'll start in 2 minutes the discussion. Mm-hmm. Consult my notes. Oh. Cancel. Oh. Oh, what's going on? Okay. Let's see. And then I want to do expense. And I want to do teachers really teach? Question mark. I want to do prestige. Wishful thinking. Environment. Yep, I'm going to talk about that. And BS degree. I was just composing my notes. Okay. 6 p.m. I'm sorry. It's I put Pacific time. I meant Central time because that's my time zone. Unpin. Okay. Message has been unpinned. Yeah, so it's 6 o'clock in the Central time zone. That's how we start. All right, so hello, welcome to the Black Ponder. This is I'm the Neil Trotter, host of this channel. Yep, we do live stream videos of philosophy. That's a newer thing. Usually I do videos on philosophical texts in case you might be tuning in later on to when this is posted and you're like new to my channel. That's what I do. Currently I'm reading this long ass book, so it's gonna be a while before I do another video. It might be not too long from now. But yeah, I'm just trying to. So I haven't done really live streams, just to give you the background information. I started doing live streams a few months ago because I just want to up my game, level up my philosophy credentials, or just not so much credentials, but techniques. Because I label myself a philosophy enthusiast, philosophy hobbyist. Let's take that to the next level and say, hey, how about amateur philosopher? Not a professional philosopher. I'm not there. I don't think I'll get there. But amateur philosopher. Let's go from enthusiast to amateur. Let's try that. So a huge part of philosophy is having conversations with people, not just talking at people, but talking in dialogue with people. So I do it online. Also, been doing a lot of that in real life to real people. Talking to people that who might not share the same opinions or the same views, or maybe they're on the fence, or they've never thought about opinions before or ideas, and talking to them and being more. Because I think that's a large part of philosophy. It's not just the reading of books. It's then it's discoursing. It's dialogue, and the other aspect is applying the philosophy you learn, but then also interacting with people who don't share your philosophy or who want to learn about what you're doing and explaining the philosophy to you. That's a huge part of philosophy too. So I'm just doing that. And today, what we're talking about, the topic is university worth it? I'm sure there's plenty of videos out on the internet that talk about that. But I'll give you my 2 cents, which is, just take that with a grain of salt. Because really, I guess most people would say it depends. I would say, it's worth it. But it's a huge cost. And we'll talk about that. That's a shorthand. But also feel free, because my style of live streaming, when I have conversations, it's conversational. So we're just hanging out. Hence me just sitting down in a chair and tank top, looking all sleepy, because I'm just relaxing. I've been going outside, just chilling outside, but it's really hot now. It's really hot. It's like 90-something degrees outside, and it's very humid. It's like a sauna out there, south, and I live in the American South. So it's pretty humid out there. I enjoy my AC, my air conditioning. It was pretty bad. My AC unit went out, and that was a few harsh days, but finally got it fixed up. So now I'm relaxing in the AC. So that's what we're doing. Okay, so feel free to talk, or just if you want to just listen, that's cool too. It's all good with me. And so I'll just begin with my personal experience with higher education. Sure. And then give my anecdotes, and which is not any indicative of anybody else's experience. It's just my 2 cents, but maybe we can do a dialogue, or I can just kind of talk for a while and give you what my personal take. So yeah, I went to public school for a while until high school. Graduated from high school and public school, and then I went to a university. Straight up, it was the University of California, Berkeley, which is it's one of the higher rated schools in the United States of America. I think it's not as high as it used to be, or maybe I'm wrong. I haven't been paying attention. But when I was admitted, it was really up there. But I always thought like, I went there, did the tour because so it's in the city of Berkeley, California, and I was born and raised in Oakland, California, and the two cities are right next to each other. Oakland, Berkeley, right next to each other. So I used to hang out at Berkeley, the city and the university, as a youngster, hanging out. I knew people that I grew up with over there, so I was very familiar with that campus. And honestly, the school didn't really. I knew it wasn't a good fit for me, to be honest. I gotta stop shaking the camera. I'm using a webcam on my laptop, and it keeps shaking. Let me see if I can stay still a little bit. Why was it not it was very hippie. It was quite hippie, and I guess I'm a very laid back person, but there was a lot of detachment from reality, I thought, with a lot of people. Yeah, and we could talk about that, about how a lot of students that go to university, they're kind of at this really high level of they're not really familiar with the real world, which is they're young, young students. They're getting there. That's why they're there. They want to learn, but a lot of them never had like a job before, like a real job, or some people don't really know the value of the dollar, things like that. Going in and then the professors they're very like high level professors where all they do is research, which is fine. I like to learn and do research, but it's like, are you really doing things that normal, like the average person does? A lot of them don't. So I just always felt like, even as like a youngster, I'd go there like, wow, these people are really detached from reality, even like as a 12, 13-year-old. But I applied, because I just applied for all schools just for the hell of it. And I got in, and I'm like, okay, you know what? It's considered a highly ranked school. I'll probably be kicking myself in the ass if I don't like at least try it. Let's just go. And I went, and I'm not saying it's kind of a well-known school. It's not like super well-known, but it might be a known school. I don't know, but so I'm not gonna diss the school. I'm not saying it's like a bad school. The university. I'm just saying it was a bad university for me personally. I just couldn't vibe with that school. I just for example, there would be the student body. I think at the time it was 4% of the student body was black, African Americans. 4%. That's very few black people, right? And you would think like, oh, does that matter? Yeah, it does. It does matter, where you feel very isolated and alone. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, that's just the way it is when you don't see people that look like you, or you're talking to people and you can't really make connections. Often people would tell me when I was going to school, like, wow, you're like the first real life black person I've ever met. And I'm like, some people be like, oh, what is it like being black? Those kinds. That's kind of those kinds of things when they'd be like, yeah, and so there was that part. I'm just giving you my personal experience, which may contribute to like, is a university worth it? So there's that part about it, and then the other part of it was, I didn't really learn much there. It's really like I felt like the school was very independent study ish, where you would take calculus for instance. You go to a calculus class, and I never took calculus before. This is my first time, but most of the students there, they knew calculus because they took AP calculus in high school. So, and that was a lot of the classes where like you would go to these classes, the students would basically pretty much know already what was going on. And it just kind of felt a little isolating. And then the professors, they didn't really teach. Like a lot of the professors, they wrote the books for the classes, like in the 70s or whatever, 1970s. And they would be, they'd be much older, and they'd be reading these books that they wrote, kind of like mindlessly, just on the lecture board, like repeating what they've always said. They didn't really teach much. What they would just go on the board, kind of do these pull out their lecture notes from the 70s or the 80s, doing the same thing. They were just there for the research. They're like researchers. So they were really the people who you would go to for assistance or help would be the TAs, the teacher assistants. Problem is they're students too, and they're kind of focused on doing their own thing. So they can only help to a certain extent. At least that's how I felt. They're graduate students, right? So I felt like it's like, why am I like, what am I here for? It's like I feel like I'm not, like, I can just learn on my own. Like, I don't need to be here because I'm not really getting taught anything. I'm just kind of here. People aren't really teaching you anything. You kind of like expected to know or expected to just learn on your own. Really, you're just there to get the piece of paper, as to just get to say like you got the degree, right? So I just kind of felt I just didn't vibe with it. It wasn't like I wasn't like hating my experience. It wasn't like I wasn't like very, I didn't go through like depression or anything. I was just like, I think it's. So I went there for like for a year and a half, and I'm like, I think I'm just gonna leave. So I basically dropped out. I just kind of just stopped going to class. And kind of, I should have like officially like withdrew or whatever, but I was like, just didn't do that. I think I just let the grades slip because I was kind of like the point where I just don't care. So I was kind of like not even showing up to class, just talking to my buddies who were going to other places, either working full time or they were going to community college, and I just hang out with them. And so I basically dropped out of that university. Pretty sure I was like on academic probation, whatever they call that when your grades slip. But I just wasn't really. I just became completely detached. It's like I don't care. So yeah, I just dropped out. So that's chapter 1 of it. And hello, Bat Shaft. I just graduated uni, and I feel the exact same way. Laughing my ass off. By the end of it, I was just there to get my degree. Right. And I just felt like, aren't we supposed to be learning? Aren't we supposed to be getting taught? But I just felt like, people they just want that piece of paper and they up out. And I don't know. I'm sure like many students who go there do not have that experience. I'm sure a lot of people be like, oh no, I had a great experience at Berkeley. I just wasn't one of those people. So now the vibe you might be getting is, wow, I guess he doesn't think university is worth it, but I do. So what I did is I transferred to community college, and in case you're not from the United States of America or other countries who have this kind of system, so there's university, which is a higher education that's like kind of top tier, and then there's like community college, which is much cheaper in terms of expense, and you get a lot of college classes. They only offer a 2-year degree, which they call associate's degree, and you can learn the community college. You can learn like calculus. You can do chemistry, organic chemistry. You can take a lot of physics courses. It's pretty much, it's like It's up to 2 years worth of the college level, and it's very cheap and it's accessible for many people, many more people. They don't. You don't have to. When I was going to college, you had to take standardized tests like the SAT. I think a lot of colleges dropped that now. You don't have to like take tests anymore to get a score. But you never had to do that with community college. There was no like, um, you know, evaluation process. If you just paid the money, you can just get in, and a lot, financial aid was available for you. So, it's very easy to get into these community. I mean, they're great. They make higher education very accessible for anybody. You see a lot more like older people would be there, people who have kids, people who have full-time jobs. They're there because they got night school and stuff like that. Um, it's pretty cool. So a lot of my friends were going to community college at the time, and so I was like, oh, I'll just go. I'll transfer. I'll transfer the few classes that I actually passed over, because you could do that. You go to another school and you can transfer college credit over, and you can get credit, and you don't have some classes you can just skip because you already took them. And I'm like, okay, I'll just hang out with my buddies, and that was great. I love that. Community college was awesome. It was like, because I felt like it was more real world. People weren't as detached with reality. Like I was saying, there was a lot of older people, and there was people my age, young people, but they were working jobs because a lot of people who go to community college, they can't afford the university level, because you can get into university for free if you get like grants or scholarships, and many of you probably know. But you gotta have to have like a lot of like connections to do that. And it's not even necessarily you have to be smart, because there's a lot of smart people. They just a lot of scholarships have to do not only you being very smart, but you kind of have to be in the know of those programs, and people have to hook you up to those programs, right? It's not as easy as people say. They are, especially nowadays. It's really bad now. But even back then, it wasn't like super easy to get those, like what a lot of people were saying. So you just got a lot of like real life people. I was talking to people who had kids, a lot of people who like worked jobs. There was a lot of people who were in the military who were like, now they finished their tour and now they're just going to college. Those kinds of people. And then also people who was not working full-time jobs, full-time community college students who were kind of just like relaxing and chilling. And those were fun. I made a lot of friends with those people. A lot of the friends that I know now, who are still my buddies, I met them at community college. So that's cool. And we did all the time. I started with a buddy. We started a club, a video game, an anime club, which is funny. Now that's a company and then we run like an anime convention to this day, right? We do little media events. It's pretty fun. Yeah. So and then the teachers were not only were they. They actually taught. They actually taught. They weren't like research. They weren't doing research. They were actually like teaching you stuff, and that was their primary job. And some of the community college teachers, they were actually professionals in the industry that they worked in, but they were doing teaching classes on the side, which is kind of interesting, right? Because you would think like, oh, they're too busy with their job, but it didn't work like that. It's like, you'd have a computer science teacher who actually was working for Intel or whatever. Because remember, I'm from the San Francisco Bay Area, and so Silicon Valley was is over there, and so you got a lot of those people working at those tech companies. They would actually come and teach on nights just trying to make an extra buck, right? So and they knew what they were talking about. They weren't like, their heads weren't in the cloud. You got a lot of like industry applicable education, Right. So I loved it. It was great, and it was really cheap. But the thing is, but community college only goes up to 2 years. You can get an associate's degree, but a lot of employers are looking for 4 year degrees at the least, right? Bachelor's, so you can't get a bachelor's at community college. Eventually, if you want a real like a true college degree, you want to transfer over to another university, right? And that's I don't mean to say like associate degree is not a real college degree. It's just most employers are looking for that 4 year at least. I remember associate's degree are like a lot of people, a lot of jobs I remember because I knew people who worked at like warehouses and like factories and those kinds of like blue collar work, right? And they wanted to go up into management, right? And a lot of those requirements, like, okay, if you want to be a manager, then you need some college level. You don't need to get a bachelor's, you just need some college. So a lot of the people, blue collar workers who wanted to get like into management, they would get associate's degrees, and then they'd be, that would qualify them to be in management positions. So you would see like the associate's degrees applied toward things like that. But yeah, eventually I transferred over to, I guess that would be like chapter 3 of my college education would be, I transferred over to San Francisco State University. And that was a cool school, but the problem, the only issue with that was when I transferred over, they weren't accepting a lot of the classes that I took in community college. So I would have to take a lot of classes over, and that really disheartened me. I think I went there for a year, but I was really frustrated that I was like, I had to take all these classes again. But I was like, you know what? Let me just do this for a year. But I got too frustrated, so like I bounced. I'm like, nah, I'm done. I'm not. You're not taking my money like that. You're not gonna force me to take classes I already took. So I left, and then after a while, I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know if college is like worth it. It's a lot of things you got to do. You got to repeat classes you've taken. That system's kind of iffy. A lot of things I can learn on my own. Back in those days, I was also trying to get into the video game industry. That was like my ultimate dream. That's another side of my life, video games. I do. I was trying to get into that industry, and a lot of the video game companies, some do care about college. They really want to see that, but a lot of them don't. They're just like, we just want to see what you can do. Like, show us your portfolio, and you're good to go. Like, we don't even care too much about your degree. So I'm like, maybe I'll just go that route. I was thinking to myself. But eventually, what I did is I went to it was a conference. It was a game developers conference, and I went to this booth. It was a school called DeVry University. DeVry University is called a for-profit school, which is oh, excuse me, sorry. And for-profit schools are kind of like community colleges, except they give you 4-year degrees, and they don't really have prestige, and they have really no credentials. I'm sorry, they have credentials. They're accredited universities, so like the degree actually means something. Like you can actually say like, yeah, if you get a bachelor's degree at these schools, it is an accredited bachelor's degree or a master's or whatever. But there's no like. What is it, evaluation process. There's not really, you can't, if you apply for the school, you're not getting rejected. You know what I mean? So a lot of people were turned off by these schools, but they were giving they were this school, DeVry University. They were offering it was like a game and simulation program degree, but basically it was a computer science degree. It was computer science. You just created video games to learn computer science concepts. That's really what it was. And I was like, it's great. I'll go to there. And so the other flip side to that is people will say like, oh, these schools are very expensive, but when I was going to the school at the time, they were just as expensive as a regular university. They're pretty much the same. I was like looking at them like, oh, it's the same. So it just doesn't have that prestige. So I went to that school. And then hello, Mark Ramirez. What's your favorite video game? Yeah, we could go off topic. That's fine, but I'll veer it back for sure. What is my favorite video? Oh, my favorite video game is the Zelda Breath of the Wild, but I just bought the new Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, so I'm pretty sure that's probably gonna be my favorite. Yeah. Tears of the Kingdom. But we could go more into that once we kind of finish the topic. And so, what was it? Yeah, so I went to DeVry, and that was a great school. But it's a for-profit school. So it wasn't very popular. People were very skeptical of these schools. But I learned a lot going to this school, like, because it was even more the case with these schools. Like, it was people who were like working in the industry. They hired, these schools just hired people who were working in the industry. They're like, hey, if you want an extra dollar, you want a side gig, you can teach. Like, you just tell students what you already know and you can get paid. Like that's basically what a lot of these professors were. Which was awesome, right? Because you got, like, I would be taught by like video game developers were professors. And like, you're just getting the what they call it, from the horse's mouth, right? You're getting the knowledge. I learned a lot. Like, my computer science skills just shot through the roof, and it was like very specific to gaming. And what's so the interesting thing about video games are some of the most complicated, like, computer computer programming, or computer programs. You'll see some of the most complicated computer programs and computer software in the video game industry, right? So if you're like developing games, you're getting really advanced computer science, right? And so I learned so much from that school. So I don't regret it at all. Then that's why I'm saying it's worth it. It was very expensive though. It was very expensive, but it wouldn't have been would have been the same expenses going to a regular university. And then I'm like, shoot, I'll just go for the master's degree. Right? And so this DeVry had a master's degree school, or a graduate school. It was called Keller. I guess it still exists. They got sued. The school did get sued because it guaranteed, apparently, like, the school guaranteed you'd get like a job in the industry like within weeks or something, which was false advertisement. So the school got sued, and they lost a lot of money. So I don't even know if the school still exists. but hey, I got my accredited degree, so there's that. So I went to the master's program and got like a master's degree in project management. Because I was running my own side business, which was an anime convention every year, which was a project. It was a project, and I also thought, like, well, if I want to make games, like, video games are like little small projects, because I had this vision of I want to make my own gaming studio. So let me learn the techniques of like project management, right? And again, like, it was awesome because you had professors who were actual project managers. You didn't have people who just knew the stuff but wasn't applying it in real life. Like, you had, like, I was taught by people who, like, their project was I remember one professor, they were literally the project manager of the construction of a major hospital. right? Like while it was interesting because I would drive past this construction site. uh, I was like, oh, I guess they're building a new hospital. Then I met the person who was my professor. Like, oh yeah, I'm the project manager for that site. So these people knew what they were talking. And then there were other project managers as well who were like actual working professionals. They were just doing the teaching at night just to make some more money. Right? So my knowledge just shot through the roof. Right? It was amazing. So eventually I finished, and then hello Ed Elgin. It sounds like you are describing vocational skills rather than academic study. Uh, I would say no. Vocational skills would be like what that's like learning, like going to like getting a license in like a car mechanics, like, or yeah, that kind of thing, like, or like learning how to repair like appliance repair or that kind of thing, which is that's some valuable stuff for sure. Even like cosmology, or not cosmology, cosmetology, like learning how to do hair and makeup, which is that's you can. I got several friends who are they're beauticians. They making money, but it wasn't a vocational school. It was like an actual, like, it was academic skills, right? Because that's the thing. I think that's why these schools weren't very popular, because it seemed like, oh, we're teaching video game design. It is like, or we're teaching like information technology, right? They just had these different labels, but really what you were learning was computer science. You basically, by the time you were finished, you had the same knowledge of computer science as if you were to just go to a regular university, or like information systems. You were learning electrical engineering. So, but you would have this degree in information technology, but really your knowledge was like electrical engineering. That's what you were an electrical engineer basically, or like all these other titles. I don't know what their strategy was, or why they named it. It must be some legal reason, or maybe they thought like, well, if we do it this way, maybe we can make more money or something. But that was what was confusing people with these schools. I guess they call them for-profit schools, because you would go there and you would take these programs, but you would learn essentially. I guess they were applicable. I guess they didn't teach, like, you couldn't get a degree in mathematics, but you could get a degree in like statistical sciences, which that was another one, like statistical science. So basically, like, if you got a degree there, it would be exactly the same thing as if you got a graduate degree in statistics, right? Be exactly the same thing. It's just, I guess it was more tailored to, like, you can immediately go to get a job, because you kind of like, it was more suitable for industry. I don't know. Okay, vocational skills are not necessarily geared to manual trades. Vocational skills simply mean you learn skills which enable you to carry out a job. Oh, okay. Cool. All right. So, I mean, then aren't universities vocational schools? Maybe they are. I don't know. Because, like, that you get degrees in those fields, and then you're able to get a job, carry out a job then too. I don't know. Ellipses. Okay. So yeah, so the problem was, and so I didn't regret going to those schools at all. I'm like, they weren't the most prestigious schools, but I was able to get, I got a master's degree in project management, and I got a bachelor's degree in game simulation programming. Essentially, this is like a computer science degree and a business administration degree, essentially. And eventually, I got this job now, directly as a result of my master's degree. Um, I work for FedEx. I'm in the safe FedEx Express, global, um, supply logistic shipping company, right? And I mean, it's such a huge company. It got all types of departments. I work in their safety department, and I manage their safety projects, right? I've worked for FedEx for a long time. I started out as a package handler. Like when I started college, I just rose up the ranks, and then I applied to one of their jobs, internal jobs, with my degree, and they're like, "Oh shoot, you have a master's degree in project management? That's exactly what we wanted." And so I mentioned that because it really helped in terms of like getting a job. So I guess Ed, what you're saying is true, right? Like they saw that degree, then they say, "Oh, this is specifically the type of degree that the skills you learn getting this degree. That's specifically what we need." And it also helped that I started as an entry level position at the company. So they're like, "Oh, you're very familiar with this company, blah blah blah." So in that way, it was worth it. It was worth it. Never really got into the game industry per se. I do make video games on the side as a hobby for fun. But I mean, that's another story. As you might hear my doggy. He's barking, which he likes to bark. Maybe somebody's about to come in. Some of the family. So it was definitely. So I thought it was worth it. The only problem is, I got, like many people who finish college or university, they're in a lot of debt. So that's what we're gonna talk about. But and then it says, "I'm speaking as an older academic who switched from engineering to computer science." Okay, cool. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped one. No, universities were traditionally geared towards academic study. If you study computer science, it's not immediately applicable. Oh, really? Okay. Really? I mean, isn't it computer science? It's applicable, right? I mean, if you finish computer science, you know how to write software, which like there's many jobs where that's like a requirement. Right? Like if you study computer science, you know how to write computer code and like develop software, which is like you're definitely hireable for many companies at that point. I would think. I don't know. It's not even okay. I don't know. I don't know. I might disagree with that one. Yeah, I would think if you got a degree in computer science, you got the skills to like get high to work at many IT companies at that point. But I don't know, maybe I'm tripping. And then yeah, debt. The experience in the U.S. is probably different from your. Oh, okay. Maybe computer science is taught differently. Maybe you just learn like algorithms and just like more like algorithm based. You don't really focus on software development. I don't know. Oh, that's not the case in the UK. Okay. Oh, graduate school they teach software. Okay, cool. I mean, bummer. It's a bummer. But maybe that works for y'all in the UK. That might, or maybe it doesn't work. Maybe that's a problem. But here in the United States of America, like that's you start learning software development from the ground one, from day one. So that's too bad. I got like 30K in loans. Yeah. Okay, so I skipped some stuff. I had a similar experience at uni and college. This is Connor. Hello. I feel like the lack of community at uni and going to it, not knowing anyone and not interested in interacting much contributed to a lot. Yeah, that's why community college was good for me, hence community, because I had a lot of friends and I could relate better with those people that I so yeah, I did kind of felt more. Yeah, it's when it's hard when you don't connect with people. It's hard to for that to be a learning environment. But then there's other people who go to these universities. They travel like across the country to these universities, and they like meet their cohorts. Like they really connect well with the. They do the. It's kind of like this whole genre, like, or this whole aesthetic, dark academia. It's like there's people obsessed with the academic way of life, and they connect with that style of living with the professor. And so those people, like, that's their community, but not me. I'm not like into the whole like academic lifestyle, but I do love learning. So yeah, 30K in loans. Yeah, so I'll tell you straight. I'm a transparency, right? Whatever. I mean, I'm not the unusual case. So in the United States of America, like, university is extremely expensive. Higher education is very, very expensive, prohibitively, right? It is. It's. I mean, it's not unusual to like finish school, and you finish like college, or maybe not even finish college, right? Maybe you just like, went to school for 3 years and like I can't, something, then life happens, like, you got a dependent you got to take care of, or you get sick or like injured or something, or you get a kid, or like you get some job, or something that happens. I mean, all types of things happen, and you don't finish, and then you got this huge debt that happens. And it's not unusual to spend like a decade of your life paying off that debt, right? That's not unusual at all. So I went to graduate school, master's, right? Not a PhD. PhD, that's a different situation, because it's like a job. PhD is like a job, right? They actually pay you to get a PhD, the university, but it's like they don't pay you a lot, right? Right. I mean, in some cases they pay you less than minimum wage, right? And they don't pay you a living wage. I mean, some it depends. It depends some, but you're not rolling in dough with a PhD. You try to earn a PhD, but I got a master's, so I had to pay the school. And so I was like $80,000 in about $80,000 in debt, which, no surprise. I mean, graduate schools. I mean, I knew people who were over $100,000 in debt after they were, I mean, maybe if you are from other countries, that might be a surprise. But if you're a United States native, that shouldn't be a surprise at all. you're like this. So a lot of people are like, I'm not going to college. Are you kidding me? Like, it's too expensive. Like, I can't like have a debt. To this day, I know people. I know several of my friends who finished college, university, and they've already made their mindset is like, I'm never gonna pay off this debt. I'm just not gonna pay this debt off. Like, I'm just gonna live in debt for the rest of my life. And they've come to terms with that. Which is very sad. It's very sad. But I know several people were like, yeah, this is gonna be a thing, and they pay the minimum, or they kind of skip payments sometimes, and they're like, whatever, or they pay because if you pay the minimum, the interest will go up. Now we've had a break from because of the COVID pandemic. They've been like this break in student payment loans, but I think that's almost either that's almost done now, or it just stopped now. I forgot. I think it was scheduled to stop in June, which is this month. I don't know. Fortunately, I paid off. I just, finished, recently paying off all my debt. And it took about a decade, which is the average. So I'm kind of lost track. I don't know exactly. I know it blinked. My dog, he's tripping because the power went out for like a split second, which is, here in the South that happens. But it looks like everything is still good. Everything's still good. We need that AC. Okay, so let's see. As again, there are software engineering classes in that major. Okay, yep, just talking it through here. On the actual stuff. Degree is mainly to give an academic background. Okay, okay. So it's different in the United Kingdom. Yeah, I wouldn't know. I do know there are. I have a friend who went to school and got a graduate. He got a bachelor's in computer science, and then he got a graduate degree in software engineering. Right. So software engineering. Uh-oh. The power. I don't know if y'all see our power is like fading in and out. No. Do I still have internet? Internet's still good? I'm not surprised we're going to debt, and I'm not surprised that the power might go out. What a shame. Well, if I'm, hopefully I'm still online. So yeah, it's like 90 degrees outside right now. So our grid, which is not a very good grid here in Memphis, Tennessee, that's where I'm at right now. The South is not a very good grid. So we're probably pushing the grid to its limit, which is like not good to know, because there's definitely going to be more days that are this hot. So hopefully it'll stay this way. But my doggy gets nervous when the power fluctuates. So hopefully he'll be cool. Anyway, looks like I'm still good for now. But we'll see. If I like disappear, you know why. You know why I've disappeared. Let's see here. And then Microman, damn, I want to get my master's, but yeah, that's what's putting me off. Yeah, the cost is put. So now we gotta ask ourselves, is it worth it? That's what I like to explore. Okay, and then we got questions. Oh, hello, Nadia. My partner and I are trying to rent in Toronto. Yeah, I hear Toronto's very bad, very expensive. Rental market here is nuts. Yeah, we recently just got denied an application because my partner's credit score was affected by him missing one student loan. But that's another thing. So I actually got gentrified out. I lived I was born and raised in Oakland, California. That's part of the San Francisco Bay Area in California, and that place is one of the most expensive places in the world to live. All right, you want to rent an apartment in San Francisco or Oakland, you're gonna pay like $3,000 a month, American dollars. That's absurd, and you're not getting a big place. Who can pay that? Not many people. So I mean, people do all types of things. People live with, they have like 4 or 5 different roommates. I mean, people do all types of crazy things to afford to live there. So, but I understand what you're saying, like, because I heard Toronto is very similar. It's like, yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I moved to the South, where we were having this electrical issue shit. I guess in the end you do get what you pay for. But yeah, that sucks. And so, like, yeah, your student loan payments is directly tied to your credit score, which is, oh, it's windy. Is it raining? It might be raining. That might be the issue. I just heard it's very windy outside, so that could be a reason why. Let me check the weather. I'm sorry. Yeah, we just chilled. I just want to check the weather report, because they said there was going to be a chance of rain. Oh, Lord. So it is thunderstorms and it is raining. I really hope the electric keeps going good, because sometimes it doesn't when it rains. But we have these short like spurts of like hard rain. It's like 15-20 minutes and then they just stop. So come on. What about, there's other places where it like snows horribly and they have their power stays on. I don't know. Yeah, it's raining right now, so that's what's going on. Anyway. Yeah, so it's rough. It's rough with the student loan payments. So now you got to consider, is it worth it? But rip the lights. It's unbelievable that if you don't have a good credit score, then you are denied rental housing. What are people supposed to do? Yeah, I mean, that's a whole topic in and of itself, right? I mean, housing should be free. I mean, if you want to talk that whole game, call me a socialist or whatever, but housing should be free. Why we shouldn't be paying for housing? Like, this is ridiculous, But I mean, that's a whole other topic. It sounds tough for low-income people. Yeah, it is tough for low-income people. It's damn near impossible to live. Right? This is why, like, I say education is very important. Power stay on, please. How much was? And then it sounds okay. How much was DeVry a year? I guess about $20,000 a year. I would say, because 2, 4, 6, 8. Yeah. Well, no, it wasn't 20,000 because I had 80,000. Oh, yeah, I would say it was about 20,000 a year. I would say, yeah, about. Yeah, so Nadia says we were born and raised in our community. We were born and raised is here, but we have been pushed out because mom is sick and needs my help. Wow. Ooh, that sucks. Yeah, I've also been pushed out of the place I was born and raised in because I couldn't afford. But you're like, dude, I got to take care of my mom. So you can't, I mean, shit. I mean, you just veering off to a whole nother topic of, like, yeah, like, education, housing, and healthcare all should be free, right? I mean, it's absolutely absurd that we have to pay for healthcare, for education, for housing. We pay for these things, and it's absurd. It's absolutely ridiculous. And then people are like, that's just how the world is. I mean, that's just how it, like, it's nuts. It's psychotic that we pay, like, and then we're not paying cheap, right? Like, these are the most expensive things. These are the most expensive things, and they're like matters of survival, right? And then we wonder why that society is all messed up. We're confused about that. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Yeah, housing is a human right. Yeah, it's just a given. Yeah, so that's my story. That's my story about education. And yeah, so is education worth it? Absolutely, it's worth it. It's worth it. Unfortunately, some people, it's just beyond the cost of some people, which is which is sad. It's sad. It's just sad because, yeah, I mean, and so let me see some of the things I wanted to mention on my notes here. I wanted to mention self-study versus institutional education, right? Because I do a lot of self-study. As you know, with my videos, I read books and then I talk about them. But there's some things I just would not have been able to learn on my own. And some people are very good at learning on their own. I'm okay at it. Some people are worse, some people are better. But I mean, there's just some things you need an expert to assist you with. And there's no, for computer science, I could not learn that on my own. Even if I like took did the research and saw all these YouTube videos. I mean, some of that stuff was just too complicated for me. I needed like somebody to sit down and like point and like show me the exact specific examples and just talk through it with me. Right? Some of these things are just too expensive. Some people do learn these complicated things. Most don't. Like, so for me, like, it was definitely worth it. Like, I learned, because I've always wanted to make video games. There's no way I could learn how to do that on my own. Despite all the resources and tutorials, it's just, to me, it was just too complicated. I need like other people to kind of sit there with me and explain it and show by example and like talk me through these examples. So in that way, like university, like I do believe like, a college or a university, that's necessary for people to learn. It's not like the only thing. You can learn a lot by yourself, self-study, or in like small communities of like where nobody's an expert, sure. But, having like an expert or like somebody who's done it already teaching you, and you just learning, and like you're not doing anything except learning. You're not working. you're a full-time student. I think that's necessary for many fields of many disciplines. Right. So it's definitely worth it. But is it overpriced? Well, education, in my opinion, is priceless. But it should, at the same time, it should be free. Right? Should be free. Why should it be free? Because you're only helping out society, right? When a more educated populace is a better populace, because the populace has a higher skill set. You can help this whole society get better, right? But also, education is power, right? Knowledge is power, and so by an uneducated populace is one that's easy to control, right? So there's that whole aspect to it as well. And then, hello, literary demon. Doing grad school in Canada at the moment. Okay, my tuition is cheap, and experiences so far in higher education have been amazing. Cool. Yeah, if it was cheap, it'd be great, right? But yeah, the cost of living is making me question my love for what I study. Okay, so that's y'all problem. Y'all got the cost of living, but I guess that's across the board, because cost of living here in the United States of America is atrocious. But the problem with us is we got to deal with really expensive ass education on top of that. And then it's just funny because countries outside, people who don't, they look at Americans like, wow, Americans are kind of stupid, right? Americans are kind of uneducated. Yeah, no shit. I mean, it costs so much money to go to college. A lot of us are like, fuck it, I'm not going to college. But then what happens is we don't know how to critically think about things anymore, because you learn all those skills in college. Like, you learn how to like talk about complicated issues with people you disagree with in a civil way. College allows you. It gives you like a practice place to learn those skills, right? You deal with like misinformation, and college, you learn how to like do research at like a very high level, and you learn how to like analyze data. Like, college teaches you like how to analyze data like at a very high level. So it becomes harder for like you see some random thing on Twitter and Facebook, and you don't automatically believe it because you've been educated to not like take all the information at face value, right? I don't know. You might have heard that. It was thunderbolt. And see, this is why education is important. Well, hello, doggy. He's scared. Let me show. Maybe I can show you. That's my house. Oh, he's walking away. Sorry. Yeah. I got this Rottweiler mixed pit bull. He looks ferocious, but he's scared cat. And then Mike Ramirez says, society and the world gets improved when people get educated, but now it costs tens of thousands here. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's so stupid, but it makes sense when you're trying to, like, if you have an elite, section of the population who's like wants to, like, maintain power, and they're like trying to restrict power to others, and so one of an effective way to do that is to, like, block education. Right? That's what's happening. If you want to get down to the nitty gritty of it. And then for a hot minute, there was free tuition for students under a certain income or with families under a certain income in Ontario. First thing to get demolished when the conservative government came into power. Isn't that funny when that happens? Conservative. So, yeah, that's interesting. Let me let my spouse walk in. Make sure I don't bump. I'm online.
Hi.
Make sure I didn't get in their way. Yeah. So, yeah, they got in but it's not so much conservatives here, right? Because in the United States of America, that word conservatism and, like, conservative or liberal, like, they don't really mean anything anymore. People who are, like, right-leaning, I mean, are they even what is even considered a conservative? Like, back in the day, conservative meant, like, pro-environment, right? Conserving the environment, but that's, like, not, So for us, it's more like when people who are more on the right, I guess, or like the red color that people identify as. When those people get into power, that's when you start seeing this explosion of costs in terms of, like, education and such. About 2 years it lasted. People enrolled in droves, but then either had to drop out or pay out of pocket for the rest. And so my mama's generation, the baby boomers, college was, that generation, university was very cheap. In fact, my mama would tell me, like, oh, they actually would, like, pay you. They would give you grants to go to college. Yeah, that's that thunderbolt. I don't know if you heard that. But yeah, I mean, it was very cheap, and that's what a lot of the older generation doesn't understand. They're like, why don't y'all, pick yourself up from your bootstraps, and y'all don't know how to work anymore. And it's like, no, you don't understand. Like, you didn't go when you finished college or university. You didn't have a $100,000 debt, right? Like, that's our reality, right? It's not like we're not working hard enough. It's just like it's harder for us in many ways. Right? That's what they'll get. And then my bank account loved these 2 years. Okay. Oh, when it was cheap. Okay, so that was the thing in Canada. Yeah, that must have been great. Free higher education. Wow, what a thing! What that would be. Maybe one day we'll go back and then Diwakar Kumar. Hello. Sorry, I mispronounced your name probably, but hello. How's it going? So let me see if there's anything else someone wants to discuss. I already talked about that. Critical thinking. Yeah. So let me see. I'm peeking here. So I would just say, like, I guess it really does depend on your situation. But for me, like, that 10 or so years of debt where I, basically was I can, buying a house, buying a brand new car, like these things are just like outside the realm of possibility when you're in that amount of debt. Just buying things necessary for you to advance further in life. But despite all being like that, I think ultimately it was still worth it because I did get priceless education. Like I was saying, I learned computer science very well. But I think more importantly, what I learned, and not everybody that goes to college learns this, or university, they learn this. But I learned how to, uh, you know, critical thinking skills. But what does that mean, critical thinking skills? Um, yeah, I just learned in college, I learned how the complex, like how complex life is and how to deal with it. Right, I learned that in college. Like, yeah, one of the priceless things I learned in college. Learning like technical skills like computer science or like a business when I was learning that or project management. Um, there was this epiphany that came like, wow, life is like very, very complicated and very complex. So it wasn't like one or two things that I learned. It was just like the understanding of life being very complicated and like learning how to like to deal with that. And like, I guess problem solving techniques, you know, that's one of the things I say about like learning mathematics. Because a lot of people will say like, well, what's the point of learning calculus? Like, you're not going to apply that in real life, but you definitely could apply calculus in real life, or a subject of that nature, where they give you like these really complex problems that take you like 30 minutes to an hour to solve, and so by doing that, you learn how to like break down problems step by step. But the thing is, like in real life, problems are like not as straightforward as that, right? That's the thing that you need. That's for people who like really they become academics. And what I was saying before, when I was going to Berkeley, people were detached from reality, because the thing is like, not the problems in life are not problems, like they're not calculus problems. Like, you can't, there's no neat way to solve these problems. There's like not simple, like straightforward or obvious answers. Like, but what math, for example, what it does teach you is it teaches you how to like, you receive a very complicated problem, and then you learn how to like break down a problem into like multiple steps. Like, you learn how to break into smaller problems, which is kind of like I would say necessary in life, right? Because life really is just a series of very complex problems if you really think about it. Um, and I would say like higher education really prepares you for that. If you really you go to you got good teachers. Um, it really just teaches you how to problem solve, I think. And I talked about this in one of my streams, the complexity of life or something like that. I learned a lot of that in school, in university, like problem solving techniques, which I still apply to this day. Um, I'm doing calculus problems when I'm like at community outreach organizations and stuff, because the line is like really complicated. Um, but and it's not just that. In if you go to like a traditional university, you're also they force you to take general education classes. So if you learn computer science, you also have to like take a literature class. So, you got to take these. And I actually took philosophy classes there. That's how I really fell in love with philosophy. But during those classes, I learned how to. It's like you're provided this really safe space where you can debate people, right? They'll ask you like, "What did you think about the literature?" And it'll be like, "Oh, I thought this way," and then you have to you got to raise your hand to get your participation points. You have to state your opinion to be like, "Well, actually, no, I didn't think that." And and there's this back and forth. I remember there were plenty of debates in like those higher level literature English classes where you would like read these books like Grapes of Wrath or like one of these classics, Old Man in the Sea. Uh, you'd have these debates with people about, well, what you thought the meaning of this was. Well, I didn't think it was like this. Well, I did, and then and you start to really understand like people's points of view, and then so you would learn how to talk to people who are from different perspectives and different backgrounds in like civil ways, and you would learn how to like agree to disagree in like productive ways, right? You might not share the same opinion, but you don't have to. You don't have to be the way it is like on social media, right? Where people just kind of like flame war each other. That's unacceptable in college, right? The teacher will give you an F if you do something like that. So you learn. So this is the value of higher education, in my opinion. And then, I can't read that Arabic, but hey, how's it going? Pursuing a university education can instill qualities such as discipline, perseverance, and time management. There you go, which are transferable skills applicable to many areas of life. Yeah, time management definitely a huge one, right? Huge. Yeah, that's definitely of all the ones you talked about, discipline, perseverance, because there's a lot of this very yeah. So you say discipline and perseverance. There's many other avenues where you can learn that kind of stuff. Discipline and get into the martial arts, the field of martial arts. You'll learn perseverance and discipline, or um, you know, you get into sports, right? That's another one. You can learn perseverance and discipline. Time management, though, that's hard to learn. Like, because in like martial arts or some of these other ones, you can like somebody usually tells you where you need to go, or like you need to do this, and then you kind of. But once you start getting higher and higher in college, like nobody's telling you to do anything, right? So you just do it because you want the grade or whatever. So you really have to like start to manage your time yourself, which time management is like one of those priceless. Like if you got good time management skills, you're going to be very successful in life, right? And university is a great place to learn that. How do you advise one can do that without a university degree? Learn to face. That's what I'm saying, RV. You're asking where can you learn complexities? I mean, that's hard. I don't know where else you can learn that. Does a university degree expedite the process of learning those skills? And well, alternatives there are. Yeah, I don't know if there are alternatives to being like having an environment that's conducive to learning, and it's kind of like a safe space where they give you like really hard problems that you have to solve. I mean, where else can you learn that? I don't know. You tell me, because I don't know any. That's what I'm saying. Like in that way, like university is really worth it, because I don't really know many other places where you could learn skills like that. Whether it's whatever discipline you're learning, even like if you're in the humanities and you're learning English and you have to write these essays about these really complicated topics, even that's like problem solving. Like I don't know where else to learn. Expedite the process. Yeah. I don't even know if I don't know if it's even expedite. I just think like, because even like let's say maybe another would be like, oh, the military will teach you that. No, not really. The military doesn't teach you that. You learn how to follow orders, and I mean they have like military academy, which is kind of like a college. But that's what I'm saying. Like even the military, like I don't know if you're learning time management skills because you learn discipline and perseverance, but in the military, you have to do what you're told, right? So somebody else is managing your time. Your superior, right? So yeah, to answer your question, Kumar, I don't know where else you could learn such skills like what I mentioned. And then, Nadia, how do you feel about the grading system in school? Oh, it's archaic. The A, B, C, D, F. It's archaic. I know. I was actually listening to the radio program the other day about two people debate. Like, there's some school that'll give the not pass thing, and they're like, nah, that's too simple because you need a guide. And so the other person there's another side that's like, no, grading is very good. Maybe like something in between. I don't know. Or maybe a pass not pass is really good. Yeah, I think I kind of lean toward the pass not pass thing, and I think you could give like next to the pass not pass, you do give like a percentage, like you're like you did 80% of the work or something like that, but you passed, or like yeah not pass because you only did 30%, and maybe like 50% is enough. I don't know. You'd have to gauge it. But yeah, I don't know about the A B C D F grading. So that's probably archaic, but obsolete. But are we ever going to give it up? No, because just like we never give up the imperial system for the metric system, which is we still use foot, yards, inches, ounces for some dumb reason. Just like we're never gonna like completely adopt the metric system, we're probably never gonna give up the old school grades and the high stress environments they foster. Yeah, I'm not really down for that, as well as the testing. Yep, standardized tests are not like learning. But my I've said this before. That's another problem with education is, and I guess this is more kind of like the Marxist kind of philosophy of, they're really just, our society has designed education to produce laborers, right, to work at corporations, right. So we're not really producing like people, when you get the education system is not really tailored for people to actually learn how to like think in like in like imaginative, creative, fruitful ways, right? The education system in our society is designed to produce people who to labor, or to make capital, right? That's how the grading system and the high stress and the standardized tests, they're very good at developing laborers, which is kind of like, and I think there's a point to be made about, I'm not a Marxist, but I mean, I think, that he's, that kind of philosophy, it's right. It hits the mark there. It definitely hits the mark. Like, yeah, our system kind of makes more laborers than, so I think, yeah, that's the thing. You need to, if we get rid of all that high stress environment, standardized testing, then we're not going to have laborers, but we're going to have a lot more creative thinking. People who are like, the innovation is going to like explode, but we're not going to be able to efficiently, create gears at like, high levels of volume, right, for like, manufacturers or something like that. Why would that be better? What do you mean? Why would what be better? Just because it's old doesn't mean it's wrong. There's nothing objective. Oh, you're talking about the pass, not pass. There's nothing objective about thinking pass fail is superior or leads to a better outcome. I mean, is there anything objective about the A B C D E? Oh, wait a minute. A B C D. There's no E. There's only F. Right. There's F. I mean, is that like? Does that create better outcomes? Right. I mean, yeah. Like I'm saying, like. Yeah, I don't see evidence. I just see, yeah, like you're saying, like it's old. So like that's the system we've had. But just because that's the system we've had, I guess I'm kind of like regurgitating what you just said. Uh, just because it's old doesn't mean it's wrong. But yeah, just because it's old doesn't mean it's right either. Right? Right. Yeah, I just think like there definitely could be better ways. And I do think like that type of grading system only like prioritizes one way of thinking, and like not all human beings think in the same way, right? And because of that, we exclude a lot of different ways of thinking. So a lot of human innovation just gets filtered out, right? Because everybody has to adhere to this one style of education, but not everybody thinks like that, right? Or not everybody functions in that way, right? And we know that, like that's psychology and like sociology. There are many scientific research studies that have shown that human beings think differently. Some are really into that structured way of doing things, and others they prefer other human beings operate better in different way structures and frameworks, right? So I guess my argument is because human beings, there's a diverse array of thinking and for human beings, like we shouldn't be using one way of evaluating people, education wise, because like people learn in different ways, right? And in that way you're like eliminating like people who could be innovating and like contributing to society. You're just filtering those, you're kind of like pushing those people aside, like, well, you can't function in this like one way, this one particular way of operating, so we don't care what we're not about what you can contribute to society. It's exclusive, right? It's yeah. Yeah, and it's kind of like it's not, it's not even like an intelligent, really way of doing things, honestly. But it is very exclusionary, and I think that's kind of the point. That's kind of the point. We're trying to, there's definitely a kind of our society definitely functions off of this like exclusion type of way of being, which just discriminative way of operating. And that just hinders like human progress, I feel. And then what's going on? Just because, where do you see the grading system fit in society? Positive, negatives to this grading system? Yeah, I guess I was answering that. Yeah, I don't really see. I just see like the grading system we currently have is just the reason why we have it is just because we just have it. Right? I mean, have there been studies or that have shown like this is good because this actually is a good way of evaluating people, or is it just we're just using it just because we've always used it, which is not a good reason to do anything, really. Like, so yeah, like I said, I think it's a great way to filter, and it's not necessarily like filtering out the smartest people. It's just like it's filtering out people who cannot adhere to that style of grading, which is not necessarily the most intelligent people. And then, don't we need more laborers than creative thinkers? No. No, we don't. I think creativity is a form of labor, right? When you really think about it. And yeah, we definitely need creativity now more than ever. Absolutely. I mean, the problems that we face in our society today, like climate change and social inequity. I mean, these require like really creative ways of thinking. Like the major like problems humanity is facing today absolutely requires like creative thinking, right? And a lot more people thinking creatively. Like more laborers is not going to solve the problems that we face, right? Right. All right. So no, I don't think we need more laborers. I think we definitely need more creative thinkers. Which type of universities do you think are optimal for educating students? Public or private universities? Um, well, the difference. Um, I don't know what I mean. The difference between a public university and a private university is that a private university, the way I see it, is just more exclusionary, right? It's more expensive. You got to have more connections. It's better, there's more fun. So, I mean, I'm not. I don't. Private universities to me are. There's no real benefit other than excluding people. All universities should be public, right? Yeah, and all universities should be well funded, right? So I would just ditch the whole private like concept altogether. And then hello, fun. University, in my opinion, overall, it's useless. Okay, apprenticeships are the way to go. However, for careers in medicine, where apprenticeships are non-existent and therefore you have to go to university. Oh yeah, which is kind of how they used to do things, apprenticeships. That's fine too. Like, if we were to completely change our system and be like, okay, we're not doing this whole university. We're just gonna have like, the experts are gonna like have apprentices, and they're gonna teach. You're gonna have to have an apprenticeship. Yeah, I mean that would be good too. I don't see what I mean. That's cool. And if it was like a fair system where you didn't have to like pay, insane amounts of pricing to get in. Yeah, I mean I'm more like education. But yeah, there's many different, many ways education can happen. So yeah, that apprenticeship that could work too. But yeah, what you're saying is like there's lots of disciplines that don't have apprenticeship programs that could have apprenticeship programs. Yeah, I agree. I feel like the methods of educating students should adjust with technological advancement. Yeah, that should be a thing. I also feel like the methods of education should like get with the times and like kind of not just but just advances in like our understanding of the human mind and like human psychology and like human behavior. And like we now understand that like human beings, there are many different ways human humans think in many different ways, right? And so we should not have one style of education, right? And we know, like, we already know this. We know, like, there's not one way of thinking for a human being, right? So this is not like a new innovative thing, right? And yet we still have these standardized ways of like educating people, and we only like you treat those ways as like acceptable. So yeah, technology for sure, but I would just more like our education systems could adopt more to like modern like behavior and psychological sciences. Right? Okay, and then you're thinking of education. Mm-hmm. Education for the sake of getting a job after, not for the sake of learning. That's what Nadia says. Maybe. Maybe. It could just be like, maybe you want to paint. Right? You just want to have some fun. Maybe you just want to learn something just because you just want to learn something. That you could have an apprenticeship with that too. You could be like, hey, you know what? I always wanted to learn how to work on cars. Maybe I'll like talk to my homeboy there who's like a car mechanic, and maybe he can like I can like go the apprenticeship, and I can learn how to fix cars just for the hell of it. I think the apprenticeship system could work for just self study of learning just for that. It could transfer over there too. What's the point of learning if you can't put it to use? Well, I mean that's, I don't know if you watch my YouTube channel, because I'm definitely not a professional philosopher. Although I spend a lot of time learning about philosophy, but yeah, I'm definitely not. I don't have a job in philosophy, although I do put my philosophy to use. That's for sure. I am using my philosophy, so I guess maybe you're saying that. But I'm definitely not getting paid for philosophy. Or maybe, a use case is fun, like your name. Maybe you just want to have fun. That's a use. That's a use too. If you're like, I just want to learn this because it gives me joy, which is a use. Uh-huh. And then to have an enriching life outside of the job market. Yes, you can definitely put it to use. Doesn't have to be put to use at a job. Yeah. And then Breezy Briz. I do agree that the university system prioritizes conformity, but even in that conformist system, real intellectual mavericks shine and challenge the norms and conventions of their field. Example, Chomsky. Sure. Yeah, there's many people that do that. I mean, there's many mavericks that don't even participate in the university system, and they are geniuses too. I mean, there's smart people that come out of universities, and there's very intelligent people that have not spent a day in university. So I mean, it's either way, you know. Yeah. And then, so what could you possibly use it for? That only positive return you can get is by putting it into a job to give you an overall healthier life. But yeah, but what if you have the healthy life? What are you gonna what are you gonna do with your life outside of your job? Right? So okay, you work to have your healthy life. So, but you're gonna do other things besides working, right? Right. So what if you want to do something that requires like expertise, like some complicated expertise, right? like for me, for example, like I make video games on the side. I develop like little games on the side, and I don't do that to like. I'm not getting paid to do that. I don't like. I sell my games, but I don't make money off of them, right? But it's fun for me. I do it for fun. Now, to make a video game, that requires a lot of education. Like, it's not easy to make a video game, right? You need to learn how to computer code. You need art skills. You need music skills. You need a lot of little thing. It takes a lot of expertise. You have to spend a good amount of time learning, right? But I do it because it's fun. It provides is joy for me. I mean, there's an example right there, I would say. And then Kumar, society as it is, and human progress as you think of it, where do they converge and diverge? I don't. What do you mean? Yes, I also would like to know that why is there very little emphasis on learning about humans or people in our education system? Oh, because systems of control. because learning about humans threatens the power structure. Currently, like in Tennessee, where the state I live in, they're banning books that talk about race and LGBTQ issues, and that's you're learning about humans there. But of course, if people start learning about that, they'll start questioning the power, the systems of power that discriminate against or discriminate based off of race and sexuality and gender, sexual orientation and gender identity, right? And the powers that be don't want that. That's why. That's why there's little emphasis on learning about humans, right? Because they threaten power structures. But we got to push back. We got to push back, right? And then Nadia says, I believe in education to enrich your life and to progress society, not to make oneself more marketable in the job market, although sadly we are forced to in this day and age. Yeah. It just reminds me a lot of some friends, some of my friends, they're obsessed with capitalism and like the stock market and like venture capitalism and work in the market and stocks, and like that's their whole world. I know one friend who was really into like Bitcoin and all that shit, but I mean that's now tanking. There's like people who are I know, some of my friends are constantly on the grind trying to like hustle and financial investments and all this, and so yeah, I'm with Nadia where it's like, you're never really happy doing that, unless, some people really do break through and they like make a lot of money off, just learning, educating themselves just to learn how to make more money, and then they'll go to like Florida and like go on cruises and shit, and then they'll come. But I don't know, the people I know who do that, they're never really like, they find like temporary happiness. But you never see them like content, like really truly like happy in their life, like for a long time. They're always just like hustling for the next thing, like, oh, I gotta invest in this, and I gotta like make sure like my money is put here, and then the market fluctuates all the time. It's like, damn, I lost a lot of dollars doing this, but let me make my investment here, and then I can make it. Is like, you're not really happy doing that. I don't know. That's me. So a lot of those friends, they were trying to get me into that. Anytime somebody talks to me about like financial investments in the stock market and like economic, but that's just me. Some people like they really find joy in that shit, but not me. I kind of like, that's the big turn off for me when people start talking in that kind of language. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not that kind of person. Surely in this society, the sole purpose is to market yourself. Oh, okay. I see. You're that kind of person, fun. But that's cool. Yeah. So you're like, I have friends who are like that. I'm just not that kind of person. I market myself. I mean, case in point, my YouTube channel. I have no interest in monetizing my YouTube channel. Because I know like all the stuff that you need to do to get like boost hits and shit. You gotta make sure at the end of the video you ask the viewer to like and subscribe. I would need to buy a more expensive camera to have high definition. Probably need like a better microphone. Need some ring lights or whatever. To work on my thumbnails and all that bullshit. But I just don't care about that. I just don't really. That's not what it's about for me. For me, like, I just want to talk to interesting people, or interesting or not, I just want to talk to people about ideas. That's why I did the YouTube channel, and that's what I'm doing. I don't need to talk to 100,000 people. I just need to, is y'all are good enough. You know, in fact, like it's impossible to talk to 100,000. If I get too many subscribers, right, then I won't be able to have in-depth conversations because the chat will be scrolling so fast I won't be able to concentrate. Right? Yeah. So life ain't like that for me. You know, I'm not into all that. But you know, I'm not saying because I have friends who are like you, fun, who are just like, get your money, get your bread, you know, get to your education because, and it's like, yeah, but what about all the other stuff in life? That's me. One of my, and then Nadia likes to paint, fine arts degree to make money though. Cool, I'm the best YouTuber. I'm not, but I've accepted that. I'm like, that's not what I'm, cause you know, it's whatever you want to do. It's funny, you see these big YouTubers and they have like huge amounts of subscribers, and then one day they'll come out with a video, and it'll be like a serious video. One day they'll be like, you know, I have something I gotta tell you guys. I've been suffering from depression, or like, you know, this is really burning me out. I've had anxiety, you know, panic attacks over this stuff. You know, or they'll, you know, I got all these viewers, but you know, I'm still struggling with happiness because all that stuff doesn't. At the end of the day, all that really doesn't provide you with happiness, honestly. Chasing after that, and then there's always the next number. Like, okay, I got 100,000. Now I got to get 200,000. You're never really happy because, you know, the human beings aren't. That doesn't enrich what enriches human beings is the relationships we have with each other. You know, that's what really makes people happy. Like, you know, really enriching relationships, not like these parasocial relationships or like these, you know, like my video. You know, it's like, you know, what does that even mean? It just mean, you know, when you have all these, like, you know, really, when you talk about marketing on YouTube, you're just talking about making yourself most appealing to advertisers. to like, you know, because that's YouTube's customer base. You know, content creators are just like contractors, right? The YouTube's customers are advertisers, right? And so they want to like advertise on your platform. So really what you're doing is you're making your videos as advertisable as possible, right? And when you think of it like that, it's like, what does that doesn't mean anything. Like, okay, I'm making I'm doing all this shit. I'm like buying all this high fancy equipment and like following all these rules to appease his algorithm. I'm just making it so like advertisers feel more comfortable putting their ads on my videos. Like, what? I'm not fucking doing that. I'm really not. You know? So I don't know. I just feel like it's kind of it's not a way it's not a path to happiness, marketability. Okay, and then Fun says, let's say I purely just be a hermit and learn all day, every day, versus marketing myself, going further in jobs. Learning skills, progress myself, surely the second is better. Well, you know, there's not just either or, right? You can you can learn skills and progress yourself without marketing yourself, right? You can like, you know. Now I'm also getting into astronomy now, like amateur astronomy. Like my daughter has a telescope, and I'm gonna use it to look at the stars. And so I'm learning about astronomy, right? And they have here in the city they have an astronomy group, you know. And I'm probably gonna go to some of their get-togethers. And so, you know, you get together, you learn about astronomy, you look at the stars with your telescope, and you're learning, you're progressing, you're getting better because you're learning about the universe, the vastness of the universe. You're seeing all these really interesting objects, you know, crazy amounts of mile distances away, and they're beautiful. and you're definitely like progressing your life. But you're not like marketing yourself, right? Right. So just because you're progressing and building skills doesn't mean you're marketing yourself. And just because you're learning just for the sake of learning doesn't mean you're a hermit, right? I don't know. Kumar, I want to know that how wise or even intelligent is to follow dictates of society, and does that say anything about our inner hollow, which just really try to feel external approvals? Right. You know, and I would just further say, like, really, when you're getting an A, it's kind of sad when you really think about it. Our education system, standardized tests. You're not really learning when you do standardized tests. You're just like learning how to follow directions, right? Even when you're like getting A's in school, you're just adopting social norms, really. I mean, of course, you are learning. You're doing the problems and such. But that's really that's more of what you're doing when you're like trying to get that high mark, instead of just learning just for the sake of just learning. Right. Yeah, and it's our education system focuses more on like learning how to adopt social norms rather than actually like gathering wisdom, like becoming more wise. It's sad. They just seem less authentic. Those YouTubers you were talking about just seem less authentic. Seems like they are selling a bit of themselves for more interaction. Well, yeah, so there's that. And I think like a lot of them, they generally think like, I'm going to be happy once I get that like silver like plaque with the play button on it. Like that's when I'll be happy. I can't believe it. And I'm not saying some people actually, I'm not, and if maybe there are people, I'm sure there are plenty of people who really do find joy in like getting that reward. Like, yeah, I made them smile. And that's great. That's cool. That's cool. I just feel like, but there are a lot who like get that play button and they're still not happy and they're like, what's going on? It reminds me of, I forgot that I was watching a interview on TV. It was like one of the people on that show Seinfeld, the one with glasses, short guy. And he got like a Tony Award, or like he got like the highest award that you get in theater. I think it's the Tonys, right? And he got the award and he just like went home and he's like, why am I not happy? Like, I'm not happy. Because, it's not about getting the award. I mean, of course, like that's nice and it's good to be recognized and to be, people to celebrate your progress. That's good, friendship. But that's what it's really about. It's about recognition. Well, I mean, it's more so like being recognized by the people that mean something to you. Like, that's really what it is. It's the relationships again. That's what it all breaks down to. Not so much the trophy itself or like the number. That doesn't really mean much. In terms of climbing, yes, what? Yes. Let's see if I can go to some other question or comments. Loopholes. There's free or very minimal cost universities in some states in Germany. Yep. In some places in the world, education is free or very cheap. So that's it. We are lots of Americans are very jealous. Unfortunately, many Americans can't travel, don't have the means to travel to those places. But a lot of us understand, like, oh yeah, like, so there's lots of places where education is very cheap. I do know one person who has a degree. She has a PhD in neurology. Neurology. She's a doctor, and she went to the UK and got the PhD for the specific reason that it would be much cheaper. And she got the degree, and then she came right back here to America. Now she's a doctor. So yeah, there's some loopholes, but not everybody can do that, unfortunately. Yeah, a lot of these. universities are even better. I'm just checking my AC. It's getting kind of warm in here. Maybe it got turned off. I hope the AC is not uh, down again, because that would suck. Let's see here. Uh, do they? Yeah, but did I finish what my what I was saying was yeah, a lot of universities in other countries are a lot better than universities here in the United States. That's true in terms of what you can access to education and such. And then Kumar says, "Do you think that it is okay to advertise or market oneself, given that one truly is aware that he or she is adding real value to society?" Marketing is cool. I mean, ain't nothing wrong with marketing, advertising. Letting people know your product and who you are. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying, like, that's not the end all be all. And there's limits to like the amount of meaning you can get in that. Right? Some people that's where they derive all their meaning is marketing themselves. How many likes on Instagram, and then that's their entire. They put their whole worth in that. It's like, no, you just gotta understand the limit of what that is. It's like, when people like your Instagram, they're liking it because they like what you wear, but also like the algorithms that have been programmed, designed by the people that work for Meta, right? They're pushing your video, your picture forward so more eyes can see it, because they believe like your picture is more advertisable, like more advertisers would want you. So you gotta understand that. You just gotta understand that, you gotta understand what marketing is, and it's not like marketing is not really so much indicative of like your value as a human being. Is more just like products and commodity based, right? Which is a thing that's necessary in our society, but it has very little to do with your value as a human being. Is what I'm saying. Oh, okay. Free year in Prague. That's awesome. It's needed. I'm talking about how a person focus should be on progressing in a job. Everyone I talk to that have put their interest in learning for a promotion or better job is always more happier. Um, mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I think, yeah, I'm thinking deeply about that. Because I'm in this situation now where I have a job and it pays the bills. Um, but then I get more, but I also do things on the side. Like I have hobbies, and I also do like community activities. And they give me a lot more happiness. So I'm kind of in this situation where, okay, I'm doing this job, it's paying the bills. Does it provide me with human like satisfaction or human worth? Not really. I mean, it kind of does a little bit, but it's not enough for me. Like I could not just rely on my job alone, because like I said, I work for a corporation, FedEx, and FedEx, you can you can ship packages. They come to you. That's great. Maybe that's important to do. But I mean, at the end of the day, like all of my efforts are contributing the company I work for. All my efforts are contributing to the corporation, right? It's not even so much as contributing to like you're shipping a package. It's just contributing to like making sure like the corporation makes profit, right? Like, and that's ultimately what it's all about at the end of the day. So I mean, so I can't, it's hard for me to derive like human value based off of that. I need to go to other ways. But there's plenty of people who I work with, and I'm not saying, again, I'm not saying like my job sucks or it's horrible or like I feel like a slave. No, I'm not doing that. It's rewarding in its own way. I work for the safety department. I'm helping keep people safe. That's good. That's good. I don't work for Lockheed Martin. I'm creating bombs and shit. And I'm not, no judgment here. Jesus said, "Don't judge." I'm a Christian, but yeah. I don't put my whole self-worth on a job, and if I were to do that, I would be a very unhappy person. That's just me. And then the vibe. Hello, the vibe. University is worth it when it quality, and are we being educated to inspire ourselves, individual, or to serve someone else's agenda, or both? Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, our education system is tailored toward creating laborers, right? So so right, you become employable, and then you work for a corporation, and so really at that point your job is to advance the interests of corporations, and you might believe in what the corporation is doing, like a video game company. Like, let's say you work for Nintendo. Like, yeah, I make video games. That's fun. That's true, but ultimately it's about making sure that video game you're making is selling and maximizing profits for the company. It don't matter how fun that game is. If that game is fun, but people aren't buying it, like that your project's gonna be canceled, right? So, it's kind of like the if we're talking video games, the new Pokemon, which had all these glitches and all these like bugs, but it like sold crazy because people just buy Pokemon, right? And there's if you go on the YouTube and the internet, there's all these people debating about how like Pokemon's it's so much glitches and bugs and nobody cares about quality anymore because so many people are buying the game. It's like, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a corporation and they don't give a shit. They just want to try to maximize profit. Yeah. That's what people. It's funny how people get heated over stuff, and it's like, y'all just you understand, like, you're dealing with a business. Like, they don't give a fuck. So that's what I'm saying. Like, so it's worth it if it's quality. Where did it? I lost your. Where was it? The vibe, right? Yeah, quality. University is worth it when it's quality. Yeah. So it depends. But some people are like they're happy doing that. People like are happy working a corporation, and if you're happy doing that, then that's good for you, man. Good for you, bruh. That's But it's better. What you're saying. Inspire yourself, ourselves, and individually. And also, like, like I just go back to at the end of the day, it's all about the relationships we have with each other. So to me, it's like ultimately, if I'm learning skills to create better relationships with more people, I mean that's what it means to me. I think higher education enables that. Because for me, it's like as I get older, for me, my philosophy is not about myself or me as an individual. Like, true happiness comes from how I interact with others, and I think lots of people are not happy because they're so focused on like themselves, and because we're taught that in society. We're kind of taught like we gotta like build ourselves up and progress ourselves, but no, we don't really talk so much about like, well, how do how about building relationships with others, you know, and interacting with other people, and like, building ourselves as a human society, right? Right, that very little attention gets put on that. But I digress. And then thanks for your honest view on that. And then funds. Okay, you're welcome, Kumar. Okay, so let's say if you put all your effort into getting a better position at FedEx that has higher pay and work-life balance, would you then be happier? Maybe. Probably not. Probably not. Because I know people. I look at my managers and my senior managers and my VPs, my vice presidents. That are people that are higher than me who get like six-figure salaries and above, and they struggle. They got all similar struggles. They. Sometimes they talk to me about their life woes just as much as a lot of them have more life woes than I do. More money, more problems, right? Notorious B.I.G. But I'm not saying like money doesn't make money can provide some happiness. I'm not saying I'm not like one of those. I'm not like I'm not poo pooing on making more money. No, it's good to make more money, but I guess we just live in a world where money makes the world go round, and that's that's a shame. But that's the reality we live in. But I'm pretty happy as I am right now. Would I be happier? No, I don't think so. I think money will enable me to do other things. But again, like I derive happiness from the relationships I have with others. Not so much like what I can buy and not buy with money. Now, if money can help me enable relationships, which it oftentimes can't do, then sometimes it can. Yeah, so I would answer no. Although I might, it's not. I am going up I am working toward higher positions at my company. I'm not saying that. Promotions are good. Promotions are good. Am I happier? I'm just thinking to myself, am I happier now than I was before when I was making less money? I am happier now, but it's not so much because of the money I'm making. It's because I have more meaningful relationships with people that I care a lot about. That's really where in itself. But you do have a point. Like the money does help, because I can help people that I care about with money, and that's just the thing. That's a reality. But yeah. Ultimately, that's what it's about, the relationship, for me personally. Okay, so it looks like that's the last comment. And that's cool. If there's no other comments, I guess I'll close now and say, is university worth going? Yes, despite how expensive it is. It's still worth it. But should it be less expensive? Absolutely. Should it be free? I think so. Would the world be better? Would humanity progress further if education was more accessible? It certainly would. But it still is worth it. Education is priceless. That's why people still go to university despite being in years and years in debt, because ultimately it is worth it. It's worth it for me. But yeah, I guess that's it. A lot of points I made I don't agree with. Oh, you don't? That's fine. You don't agree with a lot of points. And then feel free. We'll continue discussion if you want. But if not, we can end it too. No problem. Because it has been 2 hours. You gotta go sleep. Yeah. Get your sleep. Sleep's important. And, I guess I will end it here. Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully, I can talk to you next week with another topic. Click that like button, subscribe, because I care about view. No, I don't. But what I do care about is the discussions I have in chat. That's great. That was fun. Yeah, that was cool. But if you do subscribe and then hit the bell or whatever, then you'll get notified when I live stream next. So that might be useful for you. Because I sometimes have to adjust the time I live stream based on the other things I do. So there's the thing. But yeah, hopefully I'll talk to y'all next week. Yeah, I do these every single week. I try at least if the power's on. Like one time I had to skip because our power went out. Our power almost did go out, but it held strong. It held strong. Or sometimes I'm busy with other things, but I try every week. So just check your notifications and all that the next time. Okay, well I'll see you next time. Thanks for talking with me. And you've been watching The Black Ponder. Tune in next time for more philosophical thought.